Let's have a chat about Henry Pollock, particularly off the back of the Champions Cup. Now, chatting about Pollock has been something we've done a lot of this season. He has been brilliant. He has been probably the story of the season from an English domestic point of view, and he's one of the stories internationally because of his inclusion on the Lions tour. So let's have a chat about him, because I think he is a guy that we should be celebrating. And yes, if you're not English or if he comes up against the club team you support, you are going to find him infuriating. It's part of the reason that's made him so good this year. But I think overall, this is a guy that we need to be celebrating, embracing, and just enjoying what he is doing for the sport at the moment. And hopefully in this video, I'll explain what I mean. You can have your say in the comments, like the video as well, and also hit that subscribe button. I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. But this is all kind of off the back of the Champions Cup final. And we saw the flare-up at the end with the Bordeaux players. One of them has been cited for that. There were mocking his celebration, copying his celebration afterwards. I saw placards in Bordeaux in the celebrations they had in the French city. And I found the reaction to Pollock in a way quite bizarre, because this is a 20-year-old guy who is a brilliant talent, has burst onto the scene in a way that very, very few players do. I can't really remember the last time we saw a guy of his age climb so quickly in such a short space of time. And so it's a pretty unique situation, and yet very quickly there's a real backlash to him. Now, as I said at the top of the video, on the one hand, he's in your face. He's doing celebrations when he scores tries, which is kind of something that rugby feels a bit uncomfortable about because it has this kind of notion of values and you behave in a certain way. So in a sense, he's doing things a little bit differently, but he's got bags of talent. Up to this point, he's delivered on it. And yet quite quickly, there's a lot of people that I think are enjoying seeing the Bordeaux players go up to him and get in his face, seeing him lose a Champions Cup final. And I find it really strange in a sport like rugby, which, let's be frank, in most countries, with the exception of really, New Zealand and South Africa, I think those are probably the only two. With the exception of those two countries, rugby is a minority sport. It is not a big enough sport globally to be damming down the stars. We need more stars. We need to elevate them. We need to help them sell the game. And Pollock is someone who certainly has the potential to do that. So I found the reaction to him generally quite strange. What I would say, though, is I get it that if you're not English and you don't support Northampton, when your nation or the club team you support comes up against him, you're going to want to see them get the better of him. You're going to want to see them implement a game plan which limits how effective he can be. There is a balance between not wanting to see him be successful against your team and just disliking the young kid because he's flourishing, loving life and doing an amazing job bursting into professional rugby. And I think with all these things, as I've kind of hinted at there's a line. On the one hand, and many of you have probably got to this point in the video, have maybe even dropped a comment down below that says it comes with the territory. And I get that totally. When you act as Henry Pollock does and walk around with the kind of confidence and strut, a bit of arrogance, I think in a good way, that he has exhibited. By the way, if you speak to him, there's no arrogance whatsoever. If you listen to his interviews, I don't think he comes across as arrogant or a nasty guy. He seems like a really good kid. But his rugby is arrogant, I suppose, in the way in which he carries himself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, by the way. But I admit that it comes with the territory. You are holding yourself up to be shot at. And there are probably plenty of guys, plenty of professionals, plenty of really good internationals, for example, that have seen the attention and the plaudits and the accolade that Henry Pollock has received this year, and they feel a bit uncomfortable about that, and they want to put one on him, and they want to teach him a bit of a lesson. Henry Pollock has to accept that. I think that comes with the territory, and actually, in a way, it's a compliment, because Bordeaux at the weekend, in that Champions Cup final, they clearly had a specific plan to try and limit how effective Pollock was. And he didn't have his best game. Didn't have his worst game either, by the way. Some people, I think, are exaggerating that. He was pretty close to scoring a couple of tries if he wasn't slightly offside, if Coles hadn't done the tug back on Tamafuna at the line out at the start of the second half. He had a massive turnover at one stage. I saw somewhere, I haven't actually checked the stats, that he had more meters made as a forward, more carries. Like, he was very involved in the game. He perhaps just didn't have those game-breaking moments in the way that we've seen him previously. But he still had a pretty good game. But nonetheless, Bordeaux planned for him, and he has to get used to that. It comes with the territory that he's going to be shot at, if you appreciate the expression. But as I say, there is a line with this. And I think abusing players is wide of the mark. Relishing the opposition getting in his face when a 20-year-old kid has just lost a Champions Cup final is wide of the mark. Like, there has to be balance in this. And I guess the final point that I'll say is we've got to embrace characters. When was the last time rugby had a truly global superstar? I'm not saying Pollock's that yet. He's clearly not. He's basically only seen him in professional rugby for meaningful sense in a year. We did see him last season, but really it's this season that he started regularly. So I'm not saying he is that global superstar yet, but genuinely, what was the last global superstar rugby had? Truly, truly global one. I honestly think it's Jonah Lomu. I think Jonah Lomu is the last rugby player that people that don't know anything about rugby, if you chat to them about it, they say, oh yeah, I know Jonah Lomu. I honestly don't think rugby has had a superstar like that in a long time. So I don't know if Pollock's going to be that guy. As I say, I'm not saying he is that at the moment. But my point is we should be embracing characters in the game, not diminishing them. The fact that Northampton, in their club shop, are selling Pollock headbands and they've sold out immediately is amazing. The fact that you've got kids and grown men going to Northampton games with the tape round their ears is amazing. And it's something we should be celebrating as a sport. And it feels to me so rugby to see the negative reaction, to see people embracing the fact that the Bordeaux players got in his face. I thought Finn Smith summed that up brilliantly, by the way. If you've just won a Champions Cup and your first thought is to go and start a fight with a 20-year-old, you probably need to have a little bit of a look at yourself. It's a bizarre reaction. When he's playing against you, you don't want him to do well. His celebrations get under your skin when he's scoring a try against you. But let's not be ridiculous and pretend it's some sort of affront to rugby values, whatever that even means. I think we should be embracing him. And I think some of the reaction and fallout has been ridiculous and actually pretty frustrating in a sport which, frankly, at times doesn't really help itself. Those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. By the way, when I talk about Australia, or when I talk about teams having a plan for Pollock, you can be damn sure that the Wallabies will. If they come up against him in the Test series, we'll see how he gets on tour. I don't know if he's necessarily a starting lion right here, right now, of how good the options are in that back row. But teams are going to plan for him. It comes with the territory. You're standing yourself up to be shot at, but there is a line for what's acceptable in that regard. And I think, as fans, what's acceptable. Some of the stuff I've seen on social media and various other bits just seems all a little bit foolish to me. Let me know. Give me your views on it. Drop it in the comment section. Like the video as well and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I would love it if I can earn your subscription. And if you didn't know already, I will be in Australia for the Lions tour for the full thing. I'll be arriving about a week and a half before the first game in Australia against the Western Force. So I'll actually be there whilst the Argentina game in Dublin is on. But I'm going to be out there, full thing, behind the scenes, reaction, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you are subscribed. I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you watching.